In this video, we're going to talk about some of the important actors in the international system, and two in particular. The first one is a state. Now, the state is considered to be the most important actor in the international system. Now, keep in mind, the state is a political term. It's a place where legitimate authority resides. A state is a government within a defined territory that it controls, and it has a population living in that territory. Now, Kansas is not a state, if you think about it, certainly not in the international sense. It's more of a province. What does the United States have that Kansas does not? The answer is sovereignty. Sovereignty is basically a term that indicates that the government is the highest and only authority. If Kansas had a problem with something, or if I had a problem with something, I can't go any higher than the U.S. Supreme Court. It is the final and the highest authority in the United States. And it has control not only over everything that is inside its territory, but it also has sovereignty internationally speaking. That is, that it is a protected unit in the international system under international law. In order to make a point about units in the international system, or actors, I want to do an exercise. So I'd like you to pull out a piece of paper, pause this video for just a minute, and then proceed with the exercise that's coming next. On the left side of your paper, write the letters A through I, and one by one, each flag will appear, and as the flag appears, I would like you to identify it. Feel free to pause the video at any point if you need to stop and think about what the correct answer is. I encourage you not to look on the internet. This isn't a test or anything like that. It's just to see what it is you know for your own benefit.
His eyes, they closed, and his last breath spoke. He had seen all to be seen. A life once full, now an empty vase, with the blossoms on his early grave. Walk away, me boy, walk away, me boy, and by morning we'll be free. Wipe that golden tear from your mother dear, and raise what's left of the flag for me. Then the rosary beads, counting 1, 2, 3, fell apart as they hit the floor. In a garb of black, we must pay respect to the colour we're born to mourn. Walk away, me boys, walk away, me boys, by morning we'll be free. Wipe the golden tear from your mother dear, raise what's left of the flag for me.
So which one is the English flag? If you wrote A, you're wrong. This is the flag of St. George, the traditional flag of the nation of England. Do any of you have problems with this? Any of you think that A was correct? A actually is the Union Jack, the current flag of the state of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. England is not a state, it's a nation. It used to be a state, and B was its flag. Flag B, the English flag, is hated by most of the people belonging to the other groups, and nowadays is used more as a football flag. The Union Jack, flag A, is really only considered a patriotic symbol by the English because to everyone else it represents the domination of England over all of its surrounding nations. This is a map of the UK, and you can see England highlighted in red as separate from the rest of the United Kingdom. What is a nation? A nation is a group of people that share an identity. They share a language, they share a culture. Members of a nation self-identify. It's more of a psychological term as opposed to a legal or power-based term like you associate with a state. So a state and a nation aren't necessarily the same thing. Now, in some cases they are. You look at Japan, you say, okay, what's your nationality? They're like, hey, we're Japanese. You know, big deal, big surprise. One of the big problems today, in fact, in the international system is that nations don't always line up with state borders. Now, one of the reasons why I selected the UK is because it should illustrate to you that even some of the world's most powerful countries have problems with the fact that nations and states don't necessarily line up. And sometimes individuals identify first with their nation and not with the state. Furthermore, all of these countries have symbols that are important to them and identify them as distinctive from the state. Here's a map of Wales in relation to the rest of the United Kingdom. The Welsh flag is letter C. In Wales, their symbols are a red dragon and daffodils. They also have their own language. The Prince of Wales is Prince Charles. Now, he'll become king when Queen Elizabeth dies. But is Charles Welsh? The answer is no. An early British king started saying, "My first son's the Prince of Wales," and he did this basically to illustrate dominance over the region. This is a map of Cornwall in relation to the rest of Britain, and letter D is the Cornish flag. It is also known as the Cross of St. Piran. It represents the nation of Cornwall. They also have their own language, Cornish. This map illustrates where the Isle of Man is. The Manx, the name of the people who live on the Isle of Man, are descended from Britons, Norsemen, and the Celts. They also have their own language called Manx Gaelic, and their flag is letter E. This shows where Scotland is on the map, and the Scottish flag is letter F, and it's known as the Cross of St. Andrews. Of course, in Scotland, they have symbols too. They have things like the thistle, they have some of the flags that I displayed. They also have one of the best ones, the Heady Q. So can you say Heady Q? Come on, practice now. Q, Q, Q. Anyway, don't call them a hairy cow, or you'll be corrected. The Heady Q were used for food and clothing, and all their parts were used, a lot like the Native Americans, the Plains, and the buffalo. The McGregor clan actually had a rite of passage in which a boy could not become a man until he'd stolen 2 Heady Qs from a rival clan. Technically, they're referred to as Highland cows. They're short, stocky cows with wide horns and a mane of brown hair that falls over their eyes and face. Not sure exactly how they see. Very docile, harmless animals. They're very friendly. When I was in the Highlands, they just walked right up to the fence to get some attention, and I actually petted one of them. They're like big dogs. When I was in Scotland, another American asked this Scotsman if anybody had tried to breed a cow with a Heady Q, and the guy said they tried it, but they could not do it. The Heady Q took one look at the cow and said, "I am no sleeping with that." Like the Welsh, Cornish, and Scottish, the Irish are also descended from Celts and speak their own language, Irish Gaelic. Their traditional boundary is the Irish Sea, separating the 2 British Isles. The island to the west is Ireland. The island to the east was Great Britain. The national flag of Ireland was G, the Cross of St. Patrick. For centuries, the English also dominated Irish politics, eventually bringing Ireland under its control in 1801. The English dissolved the Irish Parliament, and the new flag of the UK was then A, the Union Jack, a combination of the English, Scottish, and Irish national flags. There is no representation of Wales or Cornwall or the Isle of Man in the existing flag because they were already incorporated into parts of England. Flag H is the current state flag of the Republic of Ireland, or ERA. Why is Ireland divided into 2, with the 6 northern counties controlled by the United Kingdom, and the southern portion being the independent state known as the Republic of Ireland? Well, let's just say that Ireland is primarily Catholic and Republican, which means that they wanted to be their own country, and Northern Ireland is split between people, some of whom are Republicans and want to be part of Ireland, the independent country, and are predominantly Catholic, and those who want to remain part of the UK, who are called Loyalists. The Irish flag is green, white, and orange. The green represents Irish Catholicism, and the orange represents Irish Protestantism, the predominant religion of those who are Loyalists. This flag is an attempt to symbolically unify both identities. Flag I is the flag of Northern Ireland. It is a star and a red hand topped with the English crown in front of the English flag. So what would you think of this flag if you were an Irish Catholic living in Northern Ireland? I've been talking about nations of the UK, but the same can be said for most states in the international system. Irredentism is when state and national boundaries do not match. This is one of the biggest problems in the international system today. Israel, for example, has Palestinians who have no state and do not pledge allegiance to Israel. Kurds have no home. They live around Turkey and elsewhere in Central and Eastern Europe. Of course, quite a lot of them in Iraq. Basques live in France and Spain but have no state. Tibet is a nation that is dominated by China and has no autonomy. Catalonians have a province in Spain, but some would rather have it be independent. So as you can imagine, irredentism can lead to all sorts of problems and challenges. Things like nationalism, terrorism, civil war, a lot of the major problems that plague the international system today.